In June 1969, an uprising took place at the Stonewall Inn in New York City. As it was raided by the police in the early hours, 3 nights of unrest followed, with LGBT people, long frustrated by police brutality, finally fighting back. Lesbians and trans women of colour were some of the key people involved in the act of resistance. This anniversary is a reminder of the power of standing together in defiance of those who seek to divide us. A quote by Stonewall.
This Pride Month, we will be sharing with our Fluff community history, information, and methods of engaging with the Black Lives Matter movement. Without Black, Indigenous, and people of colour, the LGBTQIA plus community would not have the rights we have today, and we need to work together to create a safer world where no one is killed because of the colour of their skin. Hi, I'm Emma, she, her.
And I'm Jess, she, her.
And this is Fluff,
the podcast about friendship, love, unfortunate failure, and fun. Do you know what that's supposed to represent, Emma?
Is that fireworks?
Yeah,
or
fireworks
sparks?
And glitter cannons.
Oh.
It's like fireworks up here and the glitter cannons down there.
I was thinking in my head, I was like, oh, what's a really gay song to sing right now? But we already used Coming Out in our Coming Out episode. So I was like, what's the Pride song?
And unfortunately, the first ones that always come to head are kind of the ones which are quite...
YMCA for the
Raining Men.
Oh,
exactly.
yeah,
it's for the gay cis men who have provided some fantastic playlists online, but it's a bit of your Kylie Minogue, Lady Gaga.
Exactly.
We love you, but let's spread it out to all the other queer people in the world.
Because we're talking about Pride!
Pride!
Yay!
We are in the month of Pride for the UK, and... of course, we are in the time of COVID, so we will not be out doing parades, we're doing virtual events, doing in-person events, all the awesome queer picnics that are held, amazing specific events that happen, say for disabled queer folks. There's Black Pride as well, which always has been on the Sunday here, because Saturday's that big party parade in London.
And then the local prides that would happen throughout the summer. So June is your Pride month, but then it's sort of spread out through all of the warm season whenever you can be outside. It's the same in Canada, June's Pride month.
Yeah, but Brighton, as we well know, is in August, because we have lots of stories about a particular Brighton Pride to bring you.
Yeah.
But so although the in-face public events are cancelled, it's really important to still keep supporting it and celebrating and honouring Pride, because at the end of the day, it's actually not about the big party and the
not
glitter.
At all.
It is about supporting the rights of LGBTQIA plus people and continuing to shout out, because the rights are not there for everybody.
Yeah, and a lot of Pride organisations as well are charities, because they do more work than just the parade.
Exactly.
So we need to remember that it's not just about getting shit-faced.
Yeah, absolutely. And
although it has been about that in the past.
We kind of look at each other a little bit but we have engaged in this behaviour. But, 24/7 in our lives, we're supporting and raising up the LGBTQIA plus community. So, Emma, in honour of Pride...
Yeah.
Oh, actually, other way round.
Yeah, what are we drinking today, Jess?
We've got a pina colada.
Woo!
Finally, I've been waiting. Colada.
Or getting caught in the rain.
You like getting caught in the rain.
I do, actually.
Emma is in a happy sanctuary running in the rain.
I am, but I also love rain. It makes me feel calm.
Yeah.
But then also, if you get caught in a downpour and you get soaked, it's so great, that feeling of there's just nothing I can do about this.
And it's kind of taboo. It's well, other people wouldn't do this, but here I am.
Yeah, everyone's running, but I'm just going to walk slow.
Yeah, I'm just going to take my bedraggled self through this.
Exactly. But back to the pina colada.
Yeah, I've been wanting to make us a pina colada the whole time that we've been in lockdown, so over 3 months now.
Wow, that's a long resistance you've had.
Yeah, and then today I remembered that we have coconut milk still, and I leave tomorrow to go back to London, don't I? Oh no, Wednesday. 2 days' time.
2 days, yeah. Tomorrow's date day.
Tomorrow's date day. We'll tell you more about that next week. But yes, so I was like, finally get that frozen pineapple out the freezer. And we made some pina colada. So what do we have, everybody? 50 mils of rum per glass, some chunks of frozen pineapple, and just chucked in some coconut milk. And then we had a little taste, didn't we? It was a bit bitter. So we chucked in some of the classic maple syrup that lives in this household.
Yeah, that would be the sweetener of choice in this household.
But you can put in anything. So
Yeah.
I just want to drink it so bad.
Oh gosh, and we can't drink it yet until we know who we're drinking to.
I have literally got like saliva bubbles at the corners of my mouth.
Yeah, well, don't worry, because the person we're drinking to deserves your saliva bubbles. This is someone that is good to salivate over.
Hit me up.
This is Stormé de Laverie, everybody, who is an amazing gay rights activist, probably best known for her part in the Stonewall riots, along with our friend Marsha P. Johnson,
Marsha!
who we talked about a few weeks ago now, I guess. So, Stormé was a performer. In fact, I read something today that said the Rosa Parks of the LGBT movement. I was like, that's lovely.
Okay.
So Stormé was born to... Stormé's mother was a black woman, but her father was a white man, and her mother was a servant in her father's house. So a bit of a very complicated racial classist struggle from the get-go for Stormé. But then they became a performer, and they performed as what they would call at the time a male impressionist, but we would call that now a drag king.
Yeah.
If you don't know what a drag king is, look up your local drag kings. I bet they exist.
Yes.
And it's so a drag queen would be someone who dresses up as a heightened presentation of female gender.
Yes.
Drag king would be the opposite, the heightened
Absolutely.
presentation of male gender.
And some people like to go by drag artist as well, so they
Yes.
don't like to specify maybe a specific gender or a stereotype of what people might expect.
Yeah.
So might include your non-binary folks, just people who are like, I don't want to define, I'm just drag.
Yeah,
baby.
and you don't have to be dressing up as the, what we would say, very binary opposite
Yeah.
gender,
Yeah.
which is what sort of a misunderstanding I think people new to the drag
You
world.
don't even need a wig, you don't need shoes, you don't need heels. Like
No.
I've seen drag artists with flat shoes, no wig, and no hair.
Yeah,
And
it's just
rocking
heightened
it.
gender performance. That's what it
Yeah.
is. And it's gorgeous. So that was what Stormés loved to do, and that was their job. But they're possibly best known for probably throwing the first punch at the Stonewall riots.
Right.
Witnesses say that de Laverie threw the first punch, and she made the claim as well. But there were lots of people involved in the uprising, so it makes it difficult to determine exactly who it was. 2 weeks after the rebellion, de Laverie was part of the official formation of the Stonewall Veterans Association on July 11th, 1969. She was active in the organization, holding the offices of Chief of Security and Ambassador. From 1998 to 2000, she served as the organization's vice president. So was quite vital in turning that into an official organization. She worked as a singer and a bouncer and patrolled gay clubs and bars on Lower 7th and 8th Avenues, this is in New York, on the lookout for intolerance.
Great.
Yeah.
So performer and protector.
Exactly.
Great.
The perfect type of person for us.
Yeah.
That's what you need, Jess.
Oh,
Former protector.
performer and protector. Although I'm on a journey to protecting myself.
I
aren't
know.
Emma?
You don't need anyone but yourself right now.
Exactly.
Oh, but I just saw something else that you might find interesting. After a long struggle with dementia, de Laverie died in her sleep on May 24, 2014 in her nursing home at 93 years of age.
Wow, 93. So it's recently been the anniversary of her death.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to stop my learning here anymore about Stormé. I'm going to carry on reading and as we can. But we're also going to give you a little cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. I bet Stormé loved pina coladas.
Oh,
God.
take me to the beach. Doesn't this just taste... What?
Oh, I just got a string of pineapple. This is one of my favourites yet.
Doesn't this just taste like you should be getting an active sunburn while drinking bottomless pina
Oh, God,
coladas?
it's so good. And like low bass house music in the background. Oh, my God, that is good, Emma Barr and listeners.
You could have this at a Pride, to be fair.
Yeah. Do you know, we said earlier, we were like, we just never pick a pina colada because it's quite heavy. But actually, this is just quite a small glass of it, but it's...
Well, because Pride the party is daytime, day drink.
Yes.
which is why it's dangerous. And because it's in summer, my experience of Pride, particularly in Toronto, and I suppose it has been while I've been here as well, is that it feels like the hottest day of the year. And you are in full sun, and the amount of people who drink too much and pass out is atrocious.
Yeah.
And the amount of times that's almost been me is also atrocious.
Yeah, in Brighton, we particularly encountered that because we were out with no shade for hours. But in London, I don't know about you listeners, if you've been to London Pride or any Pride, every year I've been a bit of a creature of habit, always picking the same street in London because it goes literally across London. But we did a Pride, didn't we, together? Our first Pride together was on St. James's Street, the Haymarket place.
Oh, yeah.
By Piccadilly Circus.
Yeah.
Why do we pick there? Because there's a Tesco's extra by it. You go in and you get your 3 for 10 tinnies, but everyone is in there, and the poor shop workers are just constantly putting out all the tins.
And then there's the Costa with the toilet downstairs that is just like queues out the door.
Well, because you can't pee at the parade, so you just got to find. Well, you can't find an alleyway anyway. You just have to, and then the pubs know what you're all up to. Yeah, and there's not really pubs as such.
No, not in that area because it's like proper central London.
Yeah. So exactly. So that was our first.
That was our first Pride together.
It was, but I had to go back to work. I was working on the South Bank in a bar, and it was so.
After that Pride.
Yeah, because I met you with my ex, and then
this was the Brexit Pride. This is on my list of prides to talk about. Not because of the time when I was with you, though. I think.
Oh, was that the?
You went to work. This 2016.
Yeah, it was 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember being really frustrated because I then had to get from Piccadilly Circus across to the South Bank, and basically I could not walk, and you can't get on transport, to do what normally be a 20-minute walk to work. It took me so long. I was so late for work because I couldn't get through the crowds. And then everyone from Pride was just out there drinking, and I was just like, I want to party so bad. But some lovely lesbians were just giving me drinks, so.
That Pride was crazy, though, because it was like maybe a week at most after the Brexit vote came through. And I'm just going to put it out there that I'm pretty sure it wasn't the queers that voted leave. Right?
Pretty sure. We're
so at the end of the parade, there was a banner that was like, queers against Brexit. And every single person, there was no one just standing around, jumped the barriers and joined the march, literally anti-Brexit march in the middle of Pride. Yay! It was so huge. It was so magical. And in that moment, I was like, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It was so great.
Because you do, I mean, we always say, don't we, Emma, like, whenever, like, vote results come out and they're not what we ever hoped for, such as the Tories winning or Brexit is happening, and we're just like, but how? Who? Because you get so into your social media swap, like, we know why, but for just, like, some seconds, if you're, like, at a Pride event or something, you're like, but we all think the same.
Exactly.
Surely everyone's liberal here.
But that was a nice reminder that occasion that Pride is a protest in its origins, right?
Yes.
And so it still needs to be a protest, and it is still a great platform for protesting.
Yeah.
When was your first Pride?
I actually think my first Pride was when I met you in 2016.
Shut up.
Was it though?
This cannot be true.
Well,
you act, walk and talk like the queerest and forever queer person. And I know you are on your coming out journey in your 20s, but you didn't even go before that.
Well, this is why I wish we were best friends before that, because you could tell me if I'd been or not.
Because I'd remember.
Because you'd remember. Yeah. And I'm like, surely I did. Surely I went.
Did, yeah.
But I feel, I must have done it.
You've not only had 4 years of Pride.
I know. I just can't picture who I was with or where I was at.
The year before, I'll tell you, the year before we missed Pride because we were working on the prison project.
Right.
We were going to go after we finished, but we were all shattered.
Yes, we've been working hard.
The year before that, you wouldn't have been out, but you were gender and sexuality officer, so I would have thought that maybe you were partly organised going.
I just don't remember.
Well, if any of you remember listeners...
Did I party with anyone? Like, honestly, this is why I honestly don't remember my life. People have to tell me if I did something. That's why I'm so glad we hang out all the time, because you can remind me what my life has been.
So, okay. Wow. So my first Pride that I attended was when I was 17, because I just moved to Toronto and all of my friends were queers. And Toronto Pride is huge and a party that you literally can't miss. Like, if you live in Toronto regardless of your sexual orientation or gender orientation, you're going to be going to Pride. Like, you can't miss it. It's gorgeous. It's huge. So, yeah, my first Pride was fun, but my second Pride was one of the best Prides I've ever went to. So I was 18, and I ended up going, and I still lived in Toronto at this point, with my parents' amazing friends. I call them my gay uncles, Jake and Bert.
Yay!
And they were with all of their friends, gay male friends, all over 50, and what their Pride tradition, or it was at this point, was that they would make this massive cooler of hooch, which is basically the bottom of every single bottle of liqueur they have in their house. And you know that they got loads. Fill it with a little bit of juice and some sparkling something, and then you carry that around and share it with whoever becomes your friend. So it was like me and these 7 old men with this massive cooler of hooch, and they had a theme that year. They all pick one color of the rainbow, and then you have to their theme was just out of the shower. So they were like all with just towels and loofahs and...
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Their one friend, Merv, literally built a shower curtain around his absolutely naked body, but just like suspended from his shoulders. It was amazing. And I was like this 18-year-old baby lesbian they didn't know.
Yeah.
Well, of course they knew, but I didn't really know either.
Yeah.
And Pride was amazing, but I was really fucked. I was glad I was with them.
On the hooch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not surprised. That sounds lethal.
I was dressed like Elizabeth Taylor. That was my theme.
Oh, really?
My personal set theme.
Just out the shower, or was the wetness just for them?
I was in a gown.
Oh, right. Okay. I love that as a fancy dress or dressing up theme.
Yeah.
Like, everyone needs to up your game. Like, cats at Halloween, boring, move on.
Yeah.
No offense to anyone who likes a cheeky cat at Halloween. But why be a cat when you can be somebody who's just got out of the shower?
Yeah, but like, amazing. Have a Pride theme for yourself.
Yeah, I love it.
And I also love that they'd had this tradition for years and years and years, and this was like this group of men that were just taking on a new generation.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Continuing with their wild parties. Yeah.
And it's nice to welcome people and make friends at Pride. Well, it depends what type of person you are. Of course I make friends at Pride. But it was at Pride, was it last year or 2 years ago? And at the usual spot on the same street for the Pride Parade in London. And then this guy just stood up next to me, or came up next to me. He's like, hi. I was like, hiya. And he was like, I've literally just arrived from Phoenix, USA. I had no idea that it was Pride, but here I am. And I was like, welcome. Would you like a tinny? A tinny, by the way, is just like a small tin of alcohol. But we call it's super like slang over here, isn't it? Tinny. Pass us a tinny.
Yeah. I mean, you're the only one I know who actually says it.
Oh, okay, so. Just me. Here I am thinking it's worldwide slang. And then he said like how he wasn't out to his family, and we were like, this is really significant that you're here now.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I'm just here on a trip, but I had no idea. And although then I did set some boundaries because we had fun. We watched a parade for a few hours, and then he was like, can I come along with you? But we were like, we're going to a lesbian party. Time to chill it out. Phoenix flying. But it was nice just to connect with people, because some people, to go to Pride
is huge.
But there's so many great meetups. Like, if you are going to your first Pride as a queer or questioning queer person, you can like look on Facebook groups or speak to charities and say, I really want to come, but you either haven't, if you're a young person, like I can't tell my adults about this, or you've just never been, and you can be any age, and like, this is my first Pride, I don't know any queer people, I'm not confident to come, and then a really nice volunteer can meet you and just be like, hi, where would you like to go, where would you like to be, what's a safe space to be?
Get in touch with us, we'll be your volunteers.
We'll be it, absolutely.
Oh my god, Fluff Pride tours.
Fluff Pride tours.
The Fluff Pride party. Who would come? Let us know.
Writing it down. But also, Pride parades are so inaccessible. So that is why there are also events which are accessible for people with disabilities. Because how can you navigate yourself through jam-packed sardine
or even just
crowd,
if you're
like
a bit shy?
Like,
it's so full on, everything in your face. And I can imagine, even from my perspective, when I first would go and was still in my questioning sleeping with women in secret phase.
Yeah.
Like, the way that people approached people, like, the very kind of obvious sexuality made me quite afraid. So it was really nice to go with Jake and Bert, for example. But it would be intimidating and sometimes make me be more like, oh, I'm definitely not gay then.
Yes. Because of that outward extrovert personality, which Hannah Gadsby, comedian activist Hannah Gadsby, says in the show Nanette on Netflix. Do watch it if there's anything you do.
And then watch her second one, Douglas. It's so good well.
It's like comedy activism. But Hannah says, where do the quiet gays go?
Yes!
Because not everybody wants to go and party like that or be in horrible... Like, I'm an extrovert, but those crowds are quite a lot.
Yeah, and it can turn scary.
Which leads us so nicely into...
No, wait, before we go so nicely on to the time when you were with Mr. Phoenix...
Yeah.
Was the Pride. I was supposed to meet you with my mum. So London Pride is a little bit dead to me, unfortunately, because it was the exact day I was standing on the street corner in a rainbow dress throwing my engagement ring in a field.
It was a big day.
It was literally breakup day.
How much of this story do we tell?
We don't tell the whole story, but all I'm saying is, imagine being dressed for Pride. My mum happened to be in the city, had never attended Pride, and I was going to take her with Jess and Jess's ex to Pride, and we were going to have a great time, right? So, but my mum was only in town actually because my ex had already left, and this was our meet-up day to sort of talk through things.
Yeah, if it was really happening kind of thing.
Yeah, and because obviously I had completely not believed that it was happening, so went ready to go to Pride thinking I was just going to have a great day.
Yeah.
So, in a costume, throwing your ring in a field. And then the worst thing about Pride was I then had to travel all the way back through the city, back to my flat, because I was in the south to see my ex, and then went back north where I lived. And every single happy gay person is out, and I'm like, I'm the saddest gay person on the planet right now. So I also can imagine that Pride could be quite a trigger if you're recently out of something. You might have experienced this last year.
What happened last year? I feel like I
went to Pride. You had a pretty wild party on Pride.
What did I do?
What do you want me to tell you?
Oh, I did go to Pride this is what I mean. This is why I probably did do things, but yeah, I'm not sure I'm open to tell that story.
But I imagine that you knew because I was supposed to go with you, but then I was unwell and couldn't come to London, and you were like, I need to do something on Pride, otherwise I'm going to be shit. Right? So
Pride was 2 weeks after my ex walked out on me.
And 2 weeks after my ex walked out on me.
Yeah. Yeah, that Pride was pretty wild, but I was on a little bit of a forget what just happened mode.
Yeah, which is
absolutely
did everything to
fine.
Forget. Yeah.
I mean, I had fun, but...
Yeah, if it hadn't been the ring day for me, I would have had a great time.
Yeah, because it's that sense of, like, I was messaging you, I was like, I just need to fuck it today. I just need to let loose. Like, I was like, I'm not losing this Pride. And actually, my ex did say, I saw a picture of you at Pride looking like, how are you able to dress so amazingly and put makeup on? And I was like, bitch, you left me. I was like, I am looking my absolute best.
And she always dressed amazingly.
I know.
She always looked her absolute best.
I know. I was like, I'm sorry, I hardly made any effort.
Oh gosh, this is like the undercurrent of every fluff episode.
Does anybody else have any kind of heartbreaks around Pride and find that a bit difficult?
Yeah.
Like, get in touch. Let us know.
Because celebrating any love is love and everyone's free to love can be really hard when you're like, well, love fucked me over.
Yeah, and then everyone's doing their like couple posts like, I'm just so happy to be gay and here's my partner. And I'm just like,
or even the people who are just like happily single and about to have a great day and you're like, but I'm unhappily single right now.
So basically what happens, shout out to Rosie and Neve here, two dear friends who coached me through the afternoon of Pride. And then James, shout out to Fluff listener James, who then took me for cocktails before I ran off naughtily into the night. But Rosie and Neve, like, we did like a bit of a photo shoot in like front of some Pride flags, and it was like showing me looking really strong.
Yeah.
Like, I was completely broken. I was so broken. I was probably the worst on that day.
But you need a new profile picture.
But I needed a new profile picture, so I was like standing with my legs apart,
Hands on hips.
Hands on hips, like pulled up straight, tits out. And I was just like, bring it, baby. And then that became my new profile picture.
It was gorgeous.
And to be fair, that profile picture caused a stir amongst the ex's feelings because they were like, you just look so good and strong. I was like, which was then annoying because I was like, well.
Okay, let's move on from this.
Brighton. But it's not a heartbreak episode, is it?
It's not.
It's a year today that I'm single.
Oh gosh, everyone. I think it's like quite present at the moment.
Yeah, it's 1 year ago today that a bag was packed and she walked out. But I'm on my own journey, aren't I?
Yeah, you are. You're fine.
Yeah.
And it is just, I'm only going to say this because it is freakily aligned, our stories. It's 3 years ago from 2 days from now that I had someone pack a bag and walk out on me. So it gets better. You can start a podcast, everyone.
Drink pina coladas on a Monday afternoon.
Okay, but can we talk about our favourite Pride stories?
The best Pride. This is Brighton Pride 2K17.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that...
Brighton Pride is, in my opinion, the best Pride in the UK that I've been to.
Although it has changed in recent years, which I then say it's now become a little bit more... So basically, London's become super corporate. So all the big businesses, all the banks, like, have the biggest Pride parades.
Yeah.
And then the little charities who actually do all the work day in, day out, supporting people and activism, are then don't have any money and have to hold little banners. So those are the people we should be supporting. And Brighton Pride has always been kind of like that.
Yeah.
Like, it has started to become a bit more corporate. You have to pay to get into certain areas. But it was Emma and Ingrid's wedding hen do. And you wanted it quite queer, like not with the kind of usual...
Well, we didn't really want a hen do. Well, because we were getting married like on a whim.
Yeah.
Like and we'd only just had confirmation from the Home Office that we could get married like 2 days before Brighton Pride.
Yeah.
And then our wedding date was meant to be the following week.
Yeah.
So we already knew we were partying with Jess and her ex, and we would be going to Brighton Pride together. And then someone said, it might have even been you, like, let's make this a hen do.
Yeah. And it was just super queer. Like, we kind of did a queer spin on quite normative traditions.
Yes.
We've spoken about this before in an episode.
Yes.
But then Ingrid's best friends from Italy flew over, and everyone came to mine and my ex's flat. And we had too hard of a pre-game the night before.
Yeah, the Friday night went hard and long. And then to get to Brighton, in order to get on the right train, we all had to be up at 8 the next morning.
I think it was like leaving at 8.
Yeah.
We made friends on the train.
8, right. Yeah. Oh, well, okay, so it was amazing. We got on the train to get there because the parade starts at 11, so you do have to be there early and you want to have a view, right?
Yeah.
And so... Oh my gosh, do you remember? There was so much backstory. There was this whole...
There's massive to this story.
We tried to get to... we wanted to get the community wristbands, and I had lied to Ingrid and said I got them because I was busy and I hadn't. And do you remember like the day before, you were like, I've got them for you and your ex, and I was like, oh shit, I am supposed to get 5. And I don't have any, and they're sold
they flown from Italy
everywhere. And so I happened to find on a chat room some amazing kind man who wasn't going anymore and agreed to sell them to me and meet me at the train station at a certain time when we got to Brighton.
I mean, thank fuck.
So on our way there, we were like, oh my gosh, everything's falling into place. We got on the train and Jess and I were putting glitter on.
Everyone.
And the train was absolutely packed, standing room only. So we had seats and we're doing glitter. And then these 2 older lesbians were like, very like butch lesbians. So we're like, do you want to put some glitter on us girls? And we were like, all right.
May I? And they had Prosecco.
Yeah. So they gave us drinks. We were all laughing. The people standing were laughing. Like, it was just joy.
It was so much joy. Everyone was in the best mood, and then we got off and the sun was shining and we had so much fun watching the parade. And then we went to the Marlborough pub, the best pub in Brighton. It is for lesbian, trans, non-binary folks. I mean, it's for everyone, but it's particularly friendly towards that way, and is the most safest, inclusive, fun space. And so we spent all day there. They had their own DJ. And Emma and I were like whipping out the moves. We had like people watching us, didn't we?
We had a bit of a circle around us.
I needed to pee so bad. And Emma and I were like dancing and showing off and in front of the crowd.
Because we like to.
And then all the Italians were like, keep going. And I was like, what, like this? No problem. And then every song I was like, Emma, I need to go pee. And then I'd run off through the crowd, and then like Scissor Sisters' Let's Have a Kiki would come on. And I'm running back to Emma, and she's already just waiting at the end of the crowd.
I'm just stood in a pose waiting for Jess to join me, being like, she's not going to pee while this is
She's not going to pee. And then that ends, I run back. Little Mix comes on, for example.
Oh my god. And I remember, because it was our not Hendu, you had told everyone you met that we were getting married. So throughout the evening, people just kept coming up to me who I hadn't actually spoken to yet, being like, you're the bride. Yeah. And we didn't look anything, like we weren't wearing anything specific. It was just like everyone, and we were getting people buying us drinks. Like, it was a big deal. Everyone was so proud.
Just tell everyone you're getting married and get some free drinks.
Exactly. But I think especially at Pride, because it was like these two young lesbians. It was particularly older lesbians that were buying us drinks.
Yeah, they were so lovely. And the party like went on, and I remember like bumping into people and doing like high leg kick competitions, and one girl then fell in her ass, and I was so worried about her, but I won the high leg competition. But it was proper scorching, wasn't it? And then come dark, the night took a turn.
So I think this is the thing that I said earlier. It's a lot of day drink. It's a lot of sunshine. It's zero hydration. It was a big party the night before.
You can't really eat anywhere.
No one's eating. And then there was like this rush pressure to get into a club or to like get into the area that you've got tickets for. Otherwise you'll be queuing. So we like got into a place. And then as the night gets worse, everyone around us is clearly getting to like dangerous points of fucked. So you're starting to be uncomfortable because even the queers around you are like, can't control themselves.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay. But then also we're starting to get to that level as well. So within our group, things are sort of falling apart.
It was
some
awful.
People vomiting, some people like having little panic attacks, some people lost in their own brains.
We were just like looking around, and everyone was like super fucked, and people like coming up to us and like, I don't know, their eyes are rolling and all of this. And then there were poos on the street. There were people pissing everywhere. Like, people weren't just pissing down alleyways anymore. They were just pissing wherever they wanted.
Oh my God, it was disgusting.
Vomit everywhere.
Jess's ex turned to me and said, where did the love go?
Yeah.
Because it literally was like, we came down on this perfect train, met the men, got the tickets, had the best time, shared the glitter. Everyone was in love. And now everyone is fucked, angry, pooing, vomiting.
It was horrible. And then we decided it was time to go back to London.
Because we'd had this really unintelligent idea that we were just going to be able to party through the night. So we didn't need to have accommodation.
Yeah. But it's actually, even in the height of summer, Brighton Breach is freezing. So we went back to the train station to get like a 3 a.m. train.
Yeah.
But 2 trains before that had been cancelled. So basically everyone who lives in London was at Brighton train station, sitting on the floor, camping out on the floor, fucked out of their minds. Yeah. And it was still delayed. And then the awful thing is, and Brighton Pride, this should never have happened, or the train station, this should never have happened. Then one train came in, it would have fit a quarter of the crowd that was there, even less. Less than that.
And it was like 4:30 a.m. maybe.
Yeah. And they opened up, not all the barriers, just 2, thinking we'll be able to filter people through. The stampede of people. My feet did not touch the ground.
I know. My bag was separated from me at one point, and Ingrid managed to get it. Like, literally, it was like anyone who didn't get up in time, anyone who wasn't able-bodied, anyone more fucked than we were could have been trampled. And
it was horrible. It was so dangerous. And I remember everyone just like screaming. And then we all got on the train. Or not all of us, like the only people who made it through.
We were sitting in the aisle. Ingrid's friend was sitting in the luggage compartments.
We were just lying on the floor, sat on the floor. People were sitting on top of each other.
It was so quiet on the train though, except for this one really horrible guy who was just like running his mouth, being like, blah, 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 blah.
He was like chewing gum, wasn't he? Just like,
dissing everyone.
He's just like, oh my God, get your vagina out of my face.
Well, no, but because there was then these two girls, which is so, like, this night makes me laugh so much. There's these two girls, because literally there's nowhere, you can't walk in the train because people are lying on the ground or sitting on the ground, and these two girls needed to pee, and it was like at the opposite side of the carriage, and this one girl was like trying to get through being, I need to pee, and no one, because people were so angry about the train, was like, no, stay where you are.
Yeah, hold on.
And then she came back with her friend, and they tried to walk on the armrests across to get to the other side, and then there was like that they had little to no underwear on and mini skirts, and so other people on the floor, there's the one guy was like, get your vagina out of my face.
Yeah.
And then someone else shouted, stop slut shaming, it's pride. And I was laughing a lot at this point on the train.
God.
Oh my God, it was so, I don't know if they made it on their journey
to the toilet.
I don't know if they peed on someone.
Oh God, it was honestly like Tetris of humans. It was so horrible. And I don't think until today we have been able to talk about that story laughing so much. It honestly traumatized us. It was horrible.
Yeah, it was like
horrible.
One of those parties where you're like, I'm good to not party for a good while.
Yeah, it was bad.
But at the same time, parts of it were like the best pride ever.
Yeah. Oh my God, it was so much fun, and we all connected. We made so many friends. Everyone was literally celebrating our life.
Yeah, it was so good.
By the end, we were just like, they're getting married.
Yeah.
They're getting married.
Yeah.
And do you know, I have these visions, and actually this might lead me into a little bit of how to support people at Pride, or how to support Pride if you are cisgendered, heterosexual, but are an ally. But I remember there was one lady who was out with all of her gal mates. I think they were all cisgendered and heterosexual, but they were celebrating. But she had her breast pump with her, so she'd had to leave her baby at home, and we were all dancing at the pub, and she was just like pumping her breast milk at the side, and she was just like, guys, I gotta get it out. And we were like, woo, yeah, woo. She's like, I need to party, but I need to pump this milk. And we were like, all right, girl.
I don't remember that, but it's incredible.
Yeah, it was intense. Before we go into if you are cisgendered, which means that you live as the sex that you were assigned at birth, i.e. male or female, or if you are heterosexual, then we just have, of course, come along to Pride. Literally, this is what it is, being an ally, being here to say, yes, we need Pride. Yeah. Pride is still so important. But there are just some little tips that we'd like to share, because even from people I know, sometimes I've been a little bit like, oh, actually, sorry, that's a little bit inconsiderate.
Yes.
Maybe a little bit insensitive. So, for example, one person who I know is cisgendered, heterosexual, hasn't ever really spoken about LGBTQIA+, or ever mentioned it. We never had a conversation about it, but turned up at London Pride, covered in glitter, like gorgeous, like little outfit, rainbows everywhere, and just literally ran up to me and went, so do you like my outfit? And it angered me so much, because I was like, can you tell me the exact definition of LGBT, let alone LGBTQIA+? Like, what do you do to support the community? Yeah. How are you using your privilege to be here today to support people and say trans lives matter, black trans lives matter? Like, what are you doing? And it just felt like she was just there to get all of her gorgeous photos. She was constantly doing Instagram stories, which leads me into just protecting the people around you. Like, you have the privilege to stand here without worrying that your face is going to be on social media. What about people who are worried about being there, or just don't want to be in your pictures, and you're not there to just like gawp at people? So it's about, how are you there to literally be that gorgeous person where queer people can be like, thank you, yes, let's party and celebrate and honour. And for me was just the one thing where it angered me so much, because I was like, take your fucking glitter off. Well, I think, put your boobs away and just be an ally. Yeah.
Before you go into your tips, Jess, can I help everyone? I know. The drinks have gone, everyone.
And they're so good.
We're halfway through the episode. What do we do?
We have to have another one, because that was so delicious.
Also, Chili is being the cutest little bean right now in her sunshine.
I said it once, and I'll say it twice, and I'll say it 45,000 times. She's just so gorgeous.
She is gorgeous.
She's a model cat.
She knows it. Little lesbian. You
can
come to Pride, Chili.
When's Cat Pride, Chili?
Yeah. But I was going to say, before we go into ally tips, I think it's really important that people know what Pride is. I think there's a lot of like, what?
It's just funny because I feel like we've spoken so much that it feels like we planned to do that ages ago, but then we've just been chit-chatting.
No, it's all right. I think we planned to do this at this point.
Oh, fabulous.
Oh, it's all right. We have been chit-chatting, and we did go off on one on Brighton and breakups.
And breakups. Oops.
As per usual. But I just think, like, part of it is people come to Pride and don't realise what Pride's about. They think it's a party, which it is, but it's more than that, right?
Which is why we said it doesn't matter to a certain extent that we can't meet in person this year, although I know people get so much from that.
Yeah.
But for other people, like, what else can we do when the party in person isn't happening? What can we do now instead to research, learn about Pride? How can we invest in communities? How can we invest in charities? Please invest in the charities.
Yeah.
The LGBTQIA plus money. Charities have no money.
Yes.
And they really need all the support. Even volunteering is so magic.
Yeah.
Any voluntary work that you can offer, like any just even administration work, graphic design work, whatever you want to do, whack it in there.
Yeah. Oh, like, well, this is not necessarily the perfect example, but my Aunt Mary and my Uncle Ron for the last couple of years have marshalled the Pride Parade in Toronto as a lovely heterosexual couple.
That is a good ally.
Have never come to Pride with me. Like, I sometimes have a bit of a like, oh, but my family's never chosen to go to Pride. It also is always on Canada Day weekend, which is a celebratory long weekend, which means that they're all together by the lake. Yeah. So not in the city. But at the same time, it's like, go to Pride just to see, like, you don't have to go with me, go to experience it. So my Aunt Mary has marshalled it for a few years, and I was like, I love that.
I love that too, because it's showing, you know what, maybe now is not my time to have a big party.
Yeah.
My time is, I'm showing my allyship by keeping you safe.
Yeah,
whilst
so good.
You just have a little celebration.
Yeah, it's such a lovely thing to do.
I love that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, put that out there.
Yeah.
Which also just then shows, as a person who's not part of another minority group, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's like with Black Lives Matter, for example. As a white person, they say you're going to the protest. If you are going to the protest, you're not going there to engage in the same activities that black people are. You're there to protect and support.
Yeah. You're there to step in should you need to protect the people who are protesting.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So shall I just quickly go through the original stories of Pride? So
when do we fill up Pina Colada?
I thought you were waiting for this. I was going to get this out of the way, but maybe go ahead.
Go ahead.
We'll take a pause.
Say no more. Salute.
Salute.
Now, listeners, cheeky little adaptation in this one. We ran out of frozen pineapple for enough of it, but then I put in a tiny bit of frozen banana as well. How does that sound? I mean, taste.
Yeah. Creamy crew.
Creamy crew. Oh, that is just a tiny bit of banana, I think, is really...
Yeah, actually helped. It's actually quite good. I mean, it was excellent before, but it's also good now.
And we also ran out of arches, so it's got a tiny bit of... bloody hell! Do you know what? I think that 50 mils of rum has really hit me.
It probably has.
It has.
50 mils.
I digested my vegan
on
lasagna.
A Monday.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Digested that a few hours ago, and this is just entering straight into an empty tummy.
Yeah.
So what about the history of Pride, please?
So, if you're a proper fluff listener, you're already going to know that in the morning of June 28th, 1969, there was the Stonewall riots, which was, well, it was a raid of the Stonewall Bar, which was a queer venue. And that was the sort of what we call the anniversary, the sort of beginning of it. So it was a riot to begin with.
Yeah.
But the rest of it goes a bit deeper. So Stonewall was not actually the start of the LGBTQ movement. LGBTQ activism had been organizing since at least the 1920s. But the range and the rage, oh gosh, this is getting hard. But
listeners, we're so sorry. It's not even our Getting Hammered episode.
I know.
Like, honestly, this is accidental.
A bit heavier than we planned. The rage and the fervor caused by the Stonewall riots helped to catapult the LGBTQ movement to a new level. So basically, because there was so much media coverage to the riots, it allowed others to see the LGBTQ struggle for themselves and to relate and support those fighting for their rights.
Yeah.
So the following year, on the anniversary of the Stonewall riots, was marked by demonstrations in New York City, Chicago, Los Angeles, and San Francisco. The New York City Day of celebration was called Christopher Street Liberation Day. In Los Angeles and San Francisco, these events became known as Gay Freedom Marches. Mm-hmm. And the day was called Gay Freedom Day. Chicago had what was called Gay Pride Week. Mm-hmm. So this has continued, and the first instances were demonstrations and marches and protests.
Yeah.
And it was only when did it change to... So it says, we've come a long way from the police brutality, or have we, and stigmatization of the 1970s. We've also made it through the AIDS crisis and the 1980s and the 1990s. The parades have long been the voice of coming together of LGBTQIA plus community to celebrate our lives. So the first few marches drew only a few hundred people, but pride parades today include hundreds and thousands. The culture shifted in the 1980s as less radical activists began taking over the march committees in different cities. They dropped gay liberation and gay freedom from the names, replacing them with gay pride. So that spread slowly.
Yeah. And Emma, how valid is this to current Black Lives Matter movement? It
terrifyingly...
This is why you need protests, riots, demonstrations. Yeah. Because as it said here, since the 1920s, people were aware that LGBT people existed, but there weren't still the rights. So then the riots happened. And then they're saying, then we had less radical people able to implement work. But it still needed that time of radicalism.
Yeah, but even still, during this time, the Trump government have been taking away adoption rights from lesbian and gay people in America.
Yeah.
So, and those would be the people who in the LGBTQIA plus spectrum have the most rights in the world now. Yeah. It's still not safe.
Exactly.
It's still not equality. It's still not freedom.
Because I suppose, when we see in the news, a statue's been taken down, or there was a riot about this, there was a protest about that. Nobody sees that those people have been fighting every day for years, maybe all of their lives, for their rights.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So no wonder it then is radical, or it is a not peaceful protest, for example.
It is that way because they've tried every peaceful method.
Yeah, you don't just go to 1,000%. You've been working up, you've been having some conversations, you've been hosting some meetings. Yeah. You've been trying to get other people on board to be your ally.
Signing petitions, you've been writing letters, you've been standing in front of committees explaining why you deserve to have your rights, and nothing's changed.
Absolutely. And as we have here as well, this is where that lovely word that we've used before, intersectional, comes in. So even though, for example, white LGBTQIA plus people, we have more privilege within our community as well. So, for example, you might see a lot, and do have a look at the hashtag Black Trans Lives Matter, because again, that intersectional look is or intersectional activism is appreciating and understanding and acknowledging that to be a white queer person is a very different experience to be a black queer person.
And I don't know the statistics, but the things that I've been reading about the incredibly high rates of black trans people that have been killed in 2020 alone. Yeah. And in the last month alone is horrendous.
In the last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is why we then absolutely need you lovely allies, wherever you are, don't we? And all for our LGBTQIA plus listeners listening to this. Hello! So I suppose just some thoughts that I was having about... Because also you might be I'm not sure if I should attend Pride as a straight cis het person.
Sure.
Again, cisgender heterosexual. We shorten it sometimes. Some people choose cis het. So, but I'm not sure if I should go. Is it my place to go? Absolutely. Please come. Please never stop being an ally. Never stop being an accomplice.
Don't stop showing up.
But I suppose, like Emma said about the background of Pride, I suppose have an understanding about that. Understand why this event is happening and why it's so important.
And why it still needs to be happening.
And also for the elders in the crowd, or the elders celebrating that day, people were alive during the Stonewall riots. Some people, I have family members who are part of the LGBTQIA plus community, and their memories of being a child or being a teenager and never being able to come out is really hard. So to see young people celebrating in this way can actually be quite a trigger, or can actually be really difficult, because you're I get to celebrate this way. My identity was shameful. It was a secret. I kept it a secret. So to see people celebrating so openly, even Emma and I as queer lesbians, like being like, way, that's to be able to be proud is still a privilege as a queer person.
Yeah, totally.
And yes, so think about the people in the parade, if you're going to see that, or who you're going to support. I mentioned earlier Smirnoff, for example. They will put all of the rainbows on everything, and they will have the biggest floats, as will Barclays Bank. Skittles. I was literally just about to say Skittles, who do the whole rainbow thing and the whatever.
Commandeered the rainbow from us.
Yeah. All of the fashion brands who now will have in their stores like
pride shirts.
And pride shirts that you might just want to buy because you're like, fuck me, that is cool. Topshop did this amazing sequin gown last year. I was like, oh my God, I'd love it, but I'm not going to. Because these are not the people who need your money. They're just taking the rainbow and funding themselves. Support, honestly, I cannot say. I work for a small LGBTQIA plus charity in North London called Wise Thoughts. These places do not have money. The councils do not have money to fund them. So these are the people that we should be supporting and cheering for when they come past in the parade. Maybe with their small crew of 10 people, but they're like, but every day, their work day is supporting the lives of young trans people, for example. Yeah. Photos. Again, like, we don't know why people are there. So just, I think, for me, taking photos with loads of people in the background, it's just something to be aware of. I personally have learnt this year to, like, I suppose, people need consent to be in your photos. I think that comes a lot through our work anyway. But if you want to post that photo, maybe just put something over somebody's face, a nice little sticker.
I suppose it's thinking honestly, like if it's a crowd behind you and you can't identify anyone, who cares? But if you've taken a selfie with your new gay best friend at the parade, you don't know their story and if they want to be public. Yeah.
And then that then goes into, Emma, such as asking consent from anyone you want to take a photo of. Is it a performer? Is it a drag artist? Mm-hmm. For example, you might have loads of different sections of the queer community at the Pride, such as you might have people who are bears. So there might be people all in leather, and it's just about not gawping on them or fetishizing on them. Like, these are people's identities.
For you. They're there for themselves. They're not there to be a spectacle.
So not taking photos in a spectacle way. And this, don't worry, this isn't just for straight allies. This is for anyone there. Like, even, like, we should check ourselves in what photos we take or whatever.
Yeah, and just ask people.
Yeah, just always ask consent before taking a photo. Remember, like, I know everyone, I suppose we're in but we always take photos. It's fine. How can we always ask people? But there was a time when we didn't have photos so readily to hand. We didn't have social media ready for upload. Mm-hmm. So this is where we have maybe gone a bit too far, and we do need to rein it in a little bit. Yeah. Because, like, our faces are everywhere. Like, we don't know how many people's photos we're in, and they're just everywhere, right?
Yeah. I mean, people like to take pictures of us as well. We don't mind so much, but, you know, there's a time in our life where we would mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's important to know.
And if you are attending or you see specific events happening, such as specific events for disabled queer folk, trans picnics, things that are happening specifically for members of the community, just respecting the boundaries of that and seeing how you can support that happening. Like you said, I love the marshalling of it.
Yeah.
Can I help in any way? Can I bring you some food? Or how can I help you have a safe and fun time?
Yeah, but don't steal the party.
Don't steal the party.
Find a way to make sure that it's still happening, but don't make it about you having a good time.
Yeah, exactly. And then finally, I didn't know this term. I just popped up on my little research. Unicorn hunting.
I've not heard of it before, but it sounds... It's like, yeah. I mean, we've all experienced
it. So unicorn hunting team is a cisgendered heterosexual couple looking for a female for a threesome. So it's called unicorn hunting, apparently, is a term. I didn't know this before, but I've definitely experienced it.
I've experienced it way too many times.
Yeah.
It's so uncomfortable.
And then the guy is always like, so do you like my wife? And then you're like, oh, what? And then it's so clear. Immediately, you're just feeling his arousal through this moment. You're like, oh no. I thought we just had a chat.
I think there's just like this confusion about pride because there is so much a lot of sexuality and a lot of like visible sexuality. But there's this belief then that like LGBTQIA plus people just live for sex. And that's their like total identity, and actually no, it's so much more than that. So to be reduced to, oh, you're a gay woman, therefore you're going to be our sex toy,
because you're going to sleep with a man though, right?
It's
like
disgusting.
it's just you like to sleep with women as well.
It's
like,
really
no,
brutal.
This isn't my
or there's the other side of it where there's a straight man who's just, and you are with a partner and they just want to watch you. And they say, can we watch? Like, that's happened a lot to me as well.
Gross.
So, yeah.
That's what, gross, disgusting.
Yeah.
So,
don't be gross.
Or I suppose if you see that happening to a friend, then support them. So I suppose just that's more of like an awareness that these kind of things happen.
We're not expecting any fluff listener to go unicorn hunting. This is more like if you see it happening to your friend or you know a straight couple that's doing this, remind them. Check them.
For sure. Emma, we just had some cool info here about prides around the world and some because I can't list you what countries around the world have a pride.
No, I couldn't at all. And actually it's quite interesting because I guess the actual concept of Pride the parade is an American thing when actually I still find that quite interesting because especially coming from Canada where gay marriage has been legal so much longer and they've only just got those rights in America. I wouldn't have thought it as the most queer friendly country, right? So it's quite interesting. I'm quite interested to know where everything else is.
Yeah, because some that I would say, oh, I didn't expect that, for example.
Yeah.
And also not all sources are correct because I saw somewhere that says in Africa the only country that has pride is South Africa. However, there are. So in the continent of Africa, Mauritius, every June, as of 2006, has the Rainbow Parade. South Africa had its first South African Pride Parade towards the end of the apartheid era in Johannesburg in 1990.
Wow.
And then Uganda in 2012 held its first Ugandan Pride Parade. Let's move on to the country of Asia. The continent of Asia. Hong Kong, first Pride Parade in 2005, which had the theme Turn Fear into Love, calling for acceptance and care. We also have in India, in 2008, 4 Indian cities, including Delhi, Bangalore, Kolkata, saw coordinated Pride events. It's interesting to see the numbers. That was about 2,200 people turned up. Whereas next in Asia is Israel, which has the largest LGBT Pride event in Asia, attracting more than 260,000 people.
Wow.
In Tel Aviv. So, I mean, so much. And that was...
It'd be interesting to know how many of these countries, because I don't know the laws in these countries, how many of them have active laws. I mean, don't just mean like where is gay marriage legal. I mean like where is homosexuality
against it. I mean,
illegal.
If we go to Europe, which always springs to my mind as just thinking of Poland and Russia. Poland, the oldest Pride parade in Poland, Warsaw Pride, was in 2001. In 2005, the parade was forbidden by local authorities. The last parade in Warsaw, they did have one in 2019. Drew 80,000 people. But Emma, we read earlier, didn't we, that in Moscow, in Russia, Moscow's district courts determined that gay pride parades in the city are to be banned until at least 2112. So they've just said, we're not having pride parades until 2112.
Wow.
Who makes decisions that far in advance? My good Lord. You're not even going to be around for it.
Yeah.
But
unfortunately, Russia's got a long way
generally
to go.
banned.
So dangerous.
Yeah.
So what's interesting to me, the reason I asked about the laws or thought about the laws as well is like because Pride for us is a party and we're at a point where it is corporate and there is all of that. And then there are places in the world where Pride is still risk your life to show your identity and fight for your rights.
So I suppose maybe then like in Turkey, which is the first Muslim majority country, for example, then had the gay parade. Did I say parade?
You did.
Oh my good Lord. And in Turkey, the parades have been banned since 2015.
This is supposed to be more uplifting than this, I think.
So I suppose this leads us into, why is Pride still needed today?
So Pride is needed everywhere in the world. It's obviously needed in, like, there are so many countries in the world where there are still active laws that make homosexuality illegal. So people will be imprisoned for their sexual practices, or in places where they don't have the laws, but the homophobia is so intense that you are at risk of being badly beaten or killed by your family if they were to find out.
Stoning is quite present.
Yeah. So that's like why we need to be aware of LGBTQIA rights on a global front, and that's what Pride should hopefully be helping people in Western world to do.
Yeah.
But even in the West, we are not there. And there's this really frustrating discussion that comes up that you hear sometimes. We don't hear that often because we're not in this circle, but I did once have an esthetician ask me, why don't we have straight Pride?
Yeah.
Which is just because you don't need it. So interestingly, I'm doing my dissertation at the moment on teenage lesbians is what I'm researching, but part of that is the process of coming out and Pride. And I did this reading the other day, which I'm not going to read to you now because Chili's sleeping on it so beautifully that I just don't want to disturb her. But it says that sort of Pride is a binary relationship with shame. So you can't have Pride, or you don't need to have Pride if you didn't experience shame.
Yeah.
So straight people have never felt shame because of their sexuality.
Yeah.
Whereas, or their gender, cis people have not felt it because of their gender. So we need it because it's an escape from the shame that we were literally born into.
I mean,
and that's the case even in a place where we have rights.
Yeah.
It's a celebration of every other day is for the straight cis person.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So why can't we have 1 month and 1 day?
Yeah. I mean, to me, that is just such an explanation in a nutshell. I think everybody, all of us fluffies, we're not using fluffies, sorry, I need to stop that. All of us fluff family, I think that's such a great way. If you ever need that to go to, somebody says, why not straight Pride, then just be like, have you ever felt shame for your sexuality?
Yeah, Pride's the opposite of shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we've all, as somebody who generally my acceptance wasn't too bad, whilst actually, but the fact that some people did question it did have a massive impact, and it's hard. So people, at some point, I feel you have been made to feel shame for your sexual orientation, and you didn't want to tell anybody forever. As
my amazing therapist said, every queer person needs therapy, or anyone from any minority group, because even if you've had an easy, I put in air quotes, time of people in your immediate circles accepting you, society hasn't. So you've internalized some of that. Yeah.
So we can use that right now as well for anyone who says about all lives matter at the moment in the Black Lives Matter movement, is that when everyone says that, it's like, have you, as a white person, ever been made to... but then I just know there's those people who are like, well...
I know. I read a post today that was like, just don't engage with the energy drainers, which are probably the people that post all lives matter.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just, you just have never been made to feel shameful for who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
and
listeners?
This is why we need Pride. And so, Fluff listeners, next Pride, next time we are allowed to be in a non-virtual scenario.
What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that we select a city or a few. Maybe we do a tour, Jess. A Fluff Pride tour. And you can come with us.
Yeah.
And we will have outfits, obviously.
Fluffy outfits.
Themes. A little bit of merch for you.
Yeah.
And we will take you on the best Pride experience of your lives.
Exactly.
And if you are a straight cisgendered person, amazing. We will marshal your experience for you.
Absolutely. It's all just about people with good intentions, people with empathy, people who are just nice and lovely and fun and silly, coming together, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So that's my plan.
I'm into it. Well, Fluff listeners, the thing is, Emma's not going to sleep tonight because she's going to be planning this.
I love a plan. I'm going to start a Pinterest board.
She actually is, really.
I already have one, but that's okay.
So, Fluff listeners, we love you lots. Thank you for listening. Have you got any Pride stories that you'd like to share or any memories? If anyone remembers where I was between the years of 2000 and 2010.
I was going to say like birth until you met me, but
yeah. They don't have any memories about me. Yeah. Where was I? I'd be curious to know. If you feel that I don't want to remember the story, then leave that out.
Keep it to yourself.
But otherwise, yeah, get in touch. And happy Pride Month.
Happy Pride, everyone.
Yay.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to rate and subscribe.
We're excited to welcome you into our Fluff family and bring you some gorgeous sparkles every Friday.
We're all